Hey guys, Tony here. I'm over at my buddy Leo's place because the other night I installed the NZ900 from JVC. And Leo came over to give me a hand setting it up and calibrating it. What I thought I'd do for this video is I'd sit down with Leo and we talk about the specs, we talk about our experience with the calibration of the unit and just some of the other things that we discovered when we went through the standard process that we normally go through when we review and set up these projectors. So guys, make sure you check the chapter markers down below to skip ahead to a topic that interests you, but let's get into it. Right, Leo, so why don't we first of all talk about the specs, like of the 900 and what separates it from the other three models that JVC have.
Okay, so Tony, I totally agree with you. Obviously an amazing projector. So this one, the 900, got the 100mm all glass lens. It got 150,000 contrast, 3,300 lumens, and the latest DLA chips from JVC, which obviously really help, you know, tidy up the corners, the bright corners, which used to be an issue in the past. The unit visually, spec-wise, is the same as the NZ800 and previous generations. Obviously not the
big lens at the front.
The big lens at the front.
It's like a Canon.
It looks awesome, and it certainly delivers improvement in sharpness, most definitely, all the way to the edges, as we tested. So some really exciting features in there. Obviously still got the awesome tone mapping from JVC. Now got the deep black mode, which in HDR makes the projector come out of the HDR gamma, the EOTF, a little bit slower, and it really works. It doesn't do any pumping and all of that. Obviously got the laser light engine, which you can control nicely, can really dial it in to what level you want it. It got the laser dimming, which we certainly tested. It got three different settings. It's got a low, high, and a balance mode. We obviously enjoy the balance mode the most, because that ultimately gives the best experience in our opinion, so yeah. Yeah,
because I noticed when we were testing out Mad Max on Fury Road in the intro where there's a lot of fade to black, sometimes it wouldn't fade completely to black. It would stay with that tiny little bit of darkness, still extremely dark by anyone's estimation. But what would happen was it would start and then it would just instantly snap to black.
And you can really see that, and that was
it's very jarring. And the balance didn't do that. It was just really smooth coming in and out. Compared to my MP5, that's a feature that I didn't think that I would enjoy as much as I did.
Yeah, no, it is pretty cool. Obviously in that sort of intro when, you know, there's just a voice in the room and your room goes completely dark. It's almost like the laser just shuts off for a period of time. It is pretty cool. And obviously if you got a nice, you know, fully man cave setup where, you know, black walls and all the acoustic treatments, all that stuff which we have, then you literally can't see the hand in front of your eyes. So it's pretty amazing. It's quite immersive.
I must say that's a feature I really liked, is the laser dimming. And the fact that you could control that level to that degree. Because I've seen laser dimming in other projectors and it's just on or off. There's no degree of how that works. But this worked really well. And guys, I will have demos all through this video while we're talking, just so I can demonstrate some of the things that we're talking about. So moving along, we did discuss the specs, we spoke about it. It doesn't sound like it's a lot, 3300 NC lumens, but it is a decent amount when you compare it to, say, the MP5 that I've got, which is 1900 lumens. And you can really tell the difference, especially when I go from that straight to the 900. I feel the contrast is very similar to my MP5. I won't say that it is wildly different. I feel that obviously with the laser dimming, I get it much darker. And that gives you this sense that the black levels are much deeper than they are. However, spoiler, like the NZ contrast on this one didn't measure as high as the NZ contrast on my MP5. So it's very interesting how the perception and the way that the projector works is dictates how your eyes perceive the image, which may not necessarily be on a technical spec sheet.
We did the calibration off the lens so to get a really good reading, and we put the NZ900 in its highest laser power. We didn't use the high bright mode because for me it's a mode which is not really usable. I mean, that's a mode which hasn't got any calibration done whatsoever. It's a pure mode, and sometimes when you combine it with a Lumagen or Mad VR, you can do it through the Lumagen or Mad VR, but we just put it in its natural mode, SDR, full laser, and obviously on your screen 135 16:9. Obviously, yes, we are dealing with a woven material which obviously gonna let some light through, so the reading of that was a 145 nits I was honestly, for some reason, was expecting a little bit more, but 145 nits is still a lot of light output. So it was quite nice to see. So obviously that's gonna depend on the screen material, the throw distance, and all of those things taken in consideration. But yeah, we measured 145, and that's pointed the sensor towards the screen when we did that measurement. At that stage, we had to decide what we wanted to do with all that brightness, because ultimately you can make the decision to run the laser level a bit lower, which obviously dramatically improves the fair noise.
Yes.
Unfortunately, 100 with where your projector is or where my projector is in my room, I wouldn't like to run it on the 100. It's just too noisy.
Mine's right above me. Yours is at least a bit further back.
Yeah.
But on mine, when I was testing it out at full brightness, I could not handle that noise. It was way too loud. Which is why, I mean, at $40,000, you'd be expecting that a room would have a hush box, or it might be in a projection room behind.
Correct.
Most people that can afford this are going to have the money to spend to treat the sound from that projector.
Correct.
So that's something to consider as well.
Yeah, so we decided on putting it down to laser level 66%, let's call it. And that was pretty good because they got now in the new generation of the JVCs, they got 5 fan levels. So I think that engaged like probably the second one or the third one. So we settled for 66, which would still give us about 100 nits on the screen, which was quite nice to see. But then we also decided to close the iris down to -6 to gain additional contrast, which obviously really helps. Obviously, if you got enough light output, you can certainly do that to boost your contrast. Yeah, which was great. Then pointed the sensor towards the lens, got it all dialed in. We did an autocal off the lens just to align things a little bit better, and then we got to work. So what we do is we measure the grayscale, which was not nice and linear, which really helped. So we were able to dial that in with a few clicks in the color temp, and then the rest be all adjusted through the gamma curve, which was quite nice. So again, minimal adjustments needed, which was quite pleasing to see. From there, we did the color checker, and we checked all the colors, which the colors aligned beautifully, I must say. We did a DCI measurement of PT 2020 in the DCI color space. And as expected, obviously, the projector struggles with the green. With the red, we can't go to 100% because at that stage we weren't using the color filter.
Too much light loss, which I'm quite sad about.
We decided not to use it because it does cost about 25 to 30% of light.
It does a lot.
And it wasn't worth it because, as we said, we didn't want to run the laser on the 100% because it was just too noisy.
It's a trade-off. You could probably run it at 100 and then you may go down to about 85 nits, something like that. I think, I think it might have even been lower. It might have only been around 79, 80 nits.
Yeah, correct.
Even at 100%. So even though it looks really nice, it just does cost you a lot of light.
Yeah. So I hope in the future JVC can sort of change that, or that will be great. That will be a great additional feature.
The reality is it looked just as amazing without the color filter. Honestly, it just looks great. You'll see in the demos. I'm recording tons of demos so you can see it's that increased brightness just makes up for the small amount of scenes that would be using the full DCI color space. So it is amazing. Like especially like we were watching Edge of Tomorrow, my favorite movie of all time, by the way. Absolutely amazing movie, and just
amazing contrast.
The way it was filmed and the close-ups when they're in the sand, and incredible. I actually thought the color filter was on. This was post-calibration, mind you, and Leah's out, nope, it's not on, and I was like, wow, because this looked really good.
We were able to align all the colors beautifully. As I said, red suffered a bit, magenta, the top end, suffered a bit, but all the other ones, as expected. Yellow was great. Cyan, obviously, there's only a certain point which we can hit with cyan. Blue was fantastic, and overall great performance. Low delta E, grayscale dialed in perfectly with a delta E of like 0.1, 0.5.
It's very close.
Very close.
And this was in the BT 2020 color space, wasn't it?
Correct.
So Rec 709 would have been easy.
Easy.
It would have been
easy,
probably zero.
Exactly.
And this is BT 2020.
It worked out great, and every time you measure it again, obviously some of the values jump up slightly, but just fantastic. We did do a contrast.
Yes, this is the interesting part, which kind of surprised both of us a little bit.
Yeah, so the first reading which we got was without closing the iris down to -6. We had about 23 to 24,000 to 1. To be honest, I was expecting a little bit more than that. But then again, I must say, a number is a number. What does the image look like when it hits the screen?
Yep.
Us closing it down quite a bit. We got to over 30, close to 30, 31,000 to 1 contrast. The NZ contrast was just below 300, and obviously closing the iris down, that cost us a little bit.
Yeah.
So probably dialed in at about 270. Again, good result. However, I was expecting a little bit more. But nevertheless, once you put the image, there's amazing lens, the sharpness from corner to corner, the laser dimming, the colors. It's an exceptional image.
Yeah, and that's, I think, the main thing. You know, being a bit of a camera fan myself and having lots of different lenses, I was saying to Leo the other night how the lens makes the image. Like, it cannot be understated.
Yeah.
Like how much impact the lens makes, and that lens, obviously, the cost difference between the NZ800 and the 900, considering it's got the same light engine and the same DILA chips, the only real difference is that lens. And that's a 15,000 Australian dollar increase in price. So that lens is obviously there for a reason. And I could tell you, look, the MP5 to me is a beautiful projector. I think for anyone that was sort of not able to push up into the NZ800 or NZ8 sort of territory, the MP5 is a great projector for that. Obviously, because it has lower light output, you do get a lot of contrast from it. And that's one of the things that I've always enjoyed from the MP5, is just that it does have amazing contrast. And because I'm only 3.6 throw distance, the amount of light I'm getting was around 100 to 110 nits.
Correct, yeah.
Now, one big thing that we haven't mentioned here yet is that all of this calibration was done without a video processor. So we did all of this straight from the projector to the laptop, and then we pushed the laptop can do the HDR and BT 2020, so it could push the correct information to the projector, and then the sensor can read that. I've been fortunate enough to be sent a Lumagen. It's the flagship Lumagen processor, and I was previously using the MadVR home theater PC version, and it's great, looks great. This new Lumagen is amazing. It just is so easy to use. It's a bit confronting when you first turn it on, you don't know, but I got a guide for how to set it up, and I had it set up within 5 minutes. There's a lot you can do, a lot, but all I was specifically interested in for this was the tone mapping of converting the HDR signal to SDR. And for me, that's become kind of like a point of obsession, as you know, because we talk about it. Is the amount of light lost through HDR. And of course, the NZ900 and all of the modern JVC projectors all have their own frame adapt tone mapping. But I will tell you now, this is no slight on JVC, because it's one of the few companies that actually do provide some form of tone mapping. You get an incredible image because you get all the brightness advantages of having it in SDR mode, as well as having the ability to lower the brightness as well, so there's no fan noise, but the picture is just off the chain. And once we did the calibration, and then we reconnected the Lumagen up, and we had it running. Now, you can calibrate obviously through the Lumagen, and they have test patterns, all kinds of things, but I mean, this is a loaner unit. It's not something that I really wanted to go too in depth with. I am going to, though, because I did order my own Lumagen. So I am buying one. I didn't get the flagship one, but I only need one in and one out. So I was able to afford the entry-level unit, which is all I need because I have all of my sources going through the HD Fury. So I will spend the time to do a full calibration with the MP5 and the Lumagen. So make sure you subscribe to the channel, guys, because you won't want to miss that video. I think combining these two products together will just give you an incredible result in your room, something you can be really happy with. I don't think it's unfair to show all of the footage going through the Lumagen, because someone that's got the money to buy this thing is generally going to have the money to buy a video processor, either a MadVR or a Lumagen. Either of those options are great. However, my choice, my personal preference is Lumagen. I really like it. I like what they do, and they've been around for a long time. All the demo footage that you see, guys, is through the Lumagen video processor, the Radiance Pro, and the NZ900. So take a look at the demos while we talk, and let us know your comments down below and your feedback. So guys, before we wrap up the video, I think it's really important for us to talk about the use case for this projector, because the elephant in the room is you have the 25,000 Australian dollar priced NZ800. You've got one, you can probably see it just over the head there. Leo's a good distance from his screen, 135-inch scope, which is quite big, and the image is insanely good. And it's something that you would think, why would you need more than this? But then you go to the 900, and I must say subjectively, it is a better image, right? Like, that's just my own opinion. Like, I don't know, I personally believe it's the lens that's doing that. but it is a $15,000 upgrade. So would you, if you had the choice between an 800 and a 900, and you're sort of at the sort of end of your budget, would you be disappointed if you couldn't get the 900 over the 800? That's kind of where I'm at.
For me, it's once you got a bigger screen than about 150, this is when you want to go for an NZ900 with the extra light up board. And as we said, you know, as you crank that laser up, it does get loud. So hopefully you've got a hush box or a projection area within your theater, which obviously can cancel that noise out a bit. There's certainly something around that lens which is just makes it super sharp from corner to corner, which is fantastic. Love my NZ800, don't really have any distortions in the corner either, but yeah, this lens just adds that extra little
It's a sparkle, right?
Correct.
It's very, like, I know this word gets overused a lot, but it's very cinematic. And I think it's getting the sharpness, the focus uniformity across the whole screen is incredible. But I agree with you that I think the difference between the 800 and 900 is to get that extra light output if you really like a bright image, especially in a larger size screen. Like my screen, 135-inch 16:9, is still quite large, but it's not, you know, as necessary for me to say go with a 900 over an 800 or even a 700, because I had the 700 in my room. You can check the review for that one, and the image is comparable, like it was really good. But I tell you what, the 900 image just, it's the actual end result of that image.
Yeah, correct.
Because the same size screen, same chips.
And that was the surprising thing, even though contrast-wise it measured
less.
It
measured less, the anti-contrast, which is the in-picture contrast.
But the actual picture on the screen was just like breathtaking.
Yeah. It's absolutely stunning, and that's not overstated. Like, it's not. I mean, look, it is no secret. Leo and I both are big fans of JVC, but it's like someone that likes a particular car, like, or me with my Crick speakers. Like, I have brands that I like, and I prefer. JVC has always ticked that box for both of us because we have an obsession with black levels. People would keep saying, oh, why don't you just get an OLED? And we're like, because you can't put them behind the screen. So JVC, I think, provides the best in class for black levels.
100%.
And in-picture contrast as well is nuts. Let's be real, like someone buying even an NZ500, which I am hoping to do a review on this channel, is still priced at around $10,000, a bit more.
Yeah.
So that's an enthusiast level projector as well, right? So it's
which has over the years, which has went up and up and up.
You scale it to your environment, you scale it to your room, and I think if you have a nice big room and a big screen, the NZ900 is perfect for that.
Yeah, agreed. And I think we saw again that calibration is key, guys, because
big time.
It was a beautiful image before, but obviously being able to measure with a sensor and seeing what the delta E was and how, you know, how wrong, let's say, and even though the image was still nice, how wrong the picture actually was.
Because it wasn't calibrated
because it wasn't calibrated in your room, and what you can achieve by, you know, closing the iris, gaining extra contrast, making sure that your colors are aligned, and all of those wonderful things which we can quite easily do, really improve that experience, obviously. And as you said, obviously super keen to, you know, dial it in for the Lumagen a little bit more.
The Lumagen just added so much to the picture itself.
Yeah, no, it was great.
And the lens was able to deliver on that. Like, it's amazing to think where we started. I have my little Epson, you know, 9300, and I love the picture on that, but it's just how your tastes change and how your standards change over time, and all of a sudden you won't accept that as your standard, and then it's like, not that you're a slob, but it's kind of ends up that way, where you're like, oh no, I'm not happy with that, because the improvements that have been made over time. It's just incredible from JVC, and I can't wait to see what they come up with next. I mean, I know that they're always working on things, but yeah, I got to say, this was like, for both of us, we would talk about at the beginning.
It was a bit of a dream,
Yeah, it was like, are we ever going to get to see a 900? And then JVC actually sent me one. So I'm hoping to hold on to it for at least another couple of weeks. I asked them if I could hold on to it for 3.5 years, and the rep kind of laughed at me via text message. It's like, ha ha ha, I can give it to you for a month. I'm like, okay, thank you. So I will enjoy it for as long as I have it, and then of course I'll go back to my MP5 until I save up the coin to upgrade. But I'm going to enjoy my MP5 for as long as I can, I think.
Yeah,
kind of made my mind up on that. It does have great contrast. Like it is not as bright, but it's a really nice image. So guys, I hope you enjoyed the review. I want to thank Leo for coming over and staying again till 2 a.m. And we were crazy. Like it hit about 1 a.m. and we're just sitting there doing demos and just going, oh wow, look at that. And then the next demo, he's like, I've really got to go home. I'm like, no, let's just put another one on. So I want to say thank you again for coming and sharing your knowledge, expertise with me as well. I've learned a lot from you over the years, and I've absorbed a lot of that. So it's become second nature to me now, especially with JVC, and why I can appreciate these projectors so much. So yeah, guys, check the links down in the description if you want to find out a little bit more about that. But that's it for this one. You'll catch me in the next one.
Bye for now.